we had Auburn, and we had LSU. LSU came into this game undefeated. They left this game with a loss. Auburn beat them by 15. I think at one point they were up 18-1. Jabari Smith looked great again. Katie Johnson looked like a maniac again. He might be my favorite player in college basketball to watch this year. T.O., I know you love that guy.
Runs on nightmare fuel. He runs on nightmare fuel. Like, that dude's insane. And I love watching him. He seemed like a great kid. I'm not trying to take away from the kind of person he is, but like that dude talking trash to everybody and their mother, to the refs, to me a little bit while I was on the side. Like, I love the energy of that guy. He was incredible.
So I thought that the biggest takeaway for me for Auburn was just the impact that Walker Kessler has on this team. Like, his ability to stand in front of the rim and protect the rim and allow Auburn to get out and overplay and pressure and try to force those turnovers and try to do all those things that Bruce Pearl teams love to do. I think it just takes them up a notch. And now that they got, I mean, Alan Flanagan he doesn't even look like he's 100% himself yet. And they're still out here playing like, I think, the best team in the SEC. T.O., you picked them to go to the Final Four on our podcast back in the preseason. That's looking really, really prescient right now. Arch, T.O., both of you guys, I want to hear, what is your takeaway on this game and just what do you think the ceiling is for this Auburn team? Arch, I'm going to go to you first.
Auburn's as good as there is, in college basketball. There's such a unique style and prep and everything that goes into playing against them. But they got great talent. They play extremely hard, and they know, they kind of know where their bread's buttered, how to play. And big fella tonight, was one rebound short of a triple-double. I mean, you talk about an unbelievable performance. He had 11 shot blocks and 16 points. He was definitely, when you block 11 shots as a team, that's a hell of a night, let alone one guy. And to me, they smothered LSU from the start. It looks to me like if you go into Auburn, that's going to be a nightmare in terms of their facility and their crowd right now. They definitely have it going and amped up in there. But they smothered LSU from the get-go. LSU could not get their feet on the ground on offense. They turned it over, way too many times. And I give them credit. They hung in there and made the game ugly at times defensively. But I think LSU will be better down the line. Tough environment, really, really good team. Going to be hard to deal with Auburn all year long because of the different amount of guys they have that can do stuff. But they definitely have rim presence. They have length drives. They're fun to watch. And to me, they're the team in the SEC right now, especially with the way they have things going on at home. They're going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying about Walker Kessler with his ability to protect the rim, one thing that I really like about that young man, and I watched him play at North Carolina too, when teams try to pull him out and bring him on the perimeter, he's such a good trail down blocker. Does that make sense? Like, they get past him and he's able to, he's so long and so big, he's able to recover and block shots off the board, and their guards take off and run. Now, a lot of people were apprehensive about their point guard play. Last year, they had to play a bunch of different guys at that position. They bring in 3 transfer points. Everybody's like, well, I'm not quite sure. Zeb Jasper, is he good enough? I don't know. Green Jr. from Eastern Kentucky, is he good enough? I don't know. We didn't really take into account how good those 3 guys were that they brought in were going to be on defense. Mm-hmm. And if they are making things that difficult on the opposing team and they're just trying to catch their breath on the way back to play defense because they're having to deal with so much pressure offensively, that factors in. That factors in big time. And they have a go-to player. Jabari Smith, is there one better right now? I was really excited to see the matchup between him and Tari Eason. You guys talked about it earlier today on our text thread. Like, that guy's a special defender. I'm interested to see how an older player that's got size and some meat on his bones able to guard Jabari Smith. Looks like he did fine to me. And they have a go-to scorer at the end of the clock. They have an energy player to pick it up when maybe sometimes aren't, the season's long. You're going to hit a slog every now and then. The energy is not going to be crazy. Katie Johnson's going to fix that on his own because he's going to run his head into the scores table. He's going to foul somebody way too hard. He's going to get in somebody's face. Like, they have a lot of pieces. And like you said, their style is so unique. And sometimes when you're in a place like Auburn, if you junk up the game a little bit, or when I played at Clemson, Arch, you junk up the game a little bit. Maybe your talent's not what you think it needs to be to play with at Kentucky. You turn that pressure up and you change the game and you flip the game on its head, sometimes you can win. And now on top of those guards pressuring like that, they have Jabari Smith and they have Walker Kessler, and they have that 5-star top end talent. That Auburn team's really good. And I might have gotten lucky on the pick. Let's be honest, boys. I might have gotten lucky.
Yeah, I gave you about 30 seconds notice that we were going to do Final Four picks, and I think you just threw that one out of the wall, pulled it out of your ass a little bit. But hey,
man, some guys are clutch, Oster. Some guys are clutch. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
Like,
you
throw the thing about
ball.
Auburn. The thing about Auburn is they have a lot of new faces. It's not like they're not going to get better. I mean, they have a high ceiling. I mean, Jabari's young. Walker Kessler's a first-year guy there. Green Jasper, first-year guy. Katie Johnson's a first-year player. I mean, they got a chance to. Their ceiling is really high.
And to your point, Arch, Alan Flanagan just came back.
He just got back.
This was his second game back. I still think that if Alan Flanagan's at 100%, I think he is the best college basketball player on that team. Is that a crazy take? Jabari Smith's going to be the best pro without a question, right? But I think the best player in college on that roster will be Alan Flanagan if he get back to being his pre-Achilles self.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Hey, look,
what T.O. said is important, though. They're getting good point guard play. I mean, they really are. They're getting solid point guard play. Wendell Green, in particular, I've been impressed with all year. I watched him a lot in high school. He's from Detroit, went to Eastern Kentucky. But, I mean, he had 15 tonight. And, I mean, it seems to me like they have a kind of a two-headed monster going there with the point guard position. But they have legitimate point guard play. And he's not Sharif Cooper, but at the end of the day, he's not shooting every time he has it either. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of guys that need to be fed on that team in different ways too. And I think they're getting good point guard play.
Walker Kessler's the best college player on their team.
He's good.
He had 11 blocks. He had 11 blocks today. He almost had triple-double, Doster. Like, I appreciate your enthusiasm right now.
He almost had a
you're building the beast, but let's keep it in the realm of reality here.
So let me ask you guys this. Let's talk a little bit about LSU, because they are now, it's actually pretty incredible. They went from last season being a team that was top 5 in offensive efficiency, outside of the top 125 in defensive efficiency, to being a team that can really have some problems scoring, but they just so happen to be the number 1 defensive efficiency team on KenPom as it stands on December 29th. What changed here? Is it as simple as they brought in guys that could guard like Atari Eason, who, by the way, comes off the bench for them? Or is it something with the way that Will Wade is playing? And I guess, Arch, are you buying this defense and this team long term, or is this just kind of a thing where, they didn't really play anyone at the start of the year and they got hot?
No, you can't get to January 1st and be number 1 in efficiency in anything and get credit for it if you're not that good. I mean, I think number 1, Tari Eason is a special, unique player. If you just look at him statistically from a defensive perspective in block percentage, steal percentage, defensive rebound percentage, he's added a lot. Pinson coming in from Missouri, Missouri plays hard. They got guys who compete every day in practice. I think bringing him over, he's another guy that's played some defense, but all in all, they're very athletic. They're long. They're mixing up their pressures. They're doing a couple different things there. Even tonight, Auburn had 21 turnovers tonight. They don't typically turn the ball over a ton. And I think, they have some length as well. Efton Reed's a freshman. He's 7 foot tall in and around the basket. They have some length. They have some size. And, to me, LSU's defense is, I don't know if it's number 1 in the country or whatever it may be, but LSU is very, very good. And I think, tonight was probably one of those deals. They got hit in the mouth at Auburn early. I will say this, without the last 1 minute, 30 seconds in the first half, it's probably a 4 or 6 point game at halftime, even being down 18-1. They let it get away that last 90 seconds. I think Jabari Smith made a couple incredible plays and put them up 11 at the half. But, LSU didn't have it on offense. I mean, you're not going to win on the road shooting 28% or 20% from 3. Doesn't really matter what your defense is doing on that night, but they get their offense going a little bit better. Their defense is going to carry them, but they get a little better on offense, which they will. They're going to be all right. They're not going to find a harder environment that they went into tonight in the league probably, and it'll balance itself out. But I think LSU is going to be fine. Defensively, they have some really, really multifaceted players. Their presses and what they can do in the half court with their length is bothering people.
Well, going back to your question, is it Will Wade coaching differently or is it bringing different players in? I think it's a combination of both. And let's give credit where credit's due. Will Wade can coach his butt off, but I also think he realized this year coming in, he doesn't have a Cam Thomas that he can just rely on to throw the basketball. So where's your emphasis going to be? It's going to be on the defensive end. And obviously he can pick and choose what kind of style he wants to play, and bringing in those players. Tari Eason, he's a stud defensively.
He's good.
And like you said, they've got, Darius Days, who I think is a good player, 4 for 14 tonight, not great, but he's kind of your older guy and he talks a lot. He never stops talking. And Arch, you love that as much as anybody, I'm sure. He never stops talking defensively, so he helps you out on that end of the thing. And Wilkinson's a big, strong, physical dude. And whenever you have those kind of pieces and you don't have an offensive stud like Cam Thomas was last year, you're going to have to rely on other ways to get wins. Will Wade recognized that early and then got busy on the defensive end. So I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, Will's a good coach. I mean, if you just track him all the way back to his VCU days or even his Chattanooga days, they were good defensively. And I think this year's team is built a little different and they're playing to their strength.
Yeah, I think you might even call it a strong ass coaching performance from Will Wade this season.
How dare you? How dare you? Don't discredit that defensive performance.